Today on Schaefer Shenanigans, we'll be putting the green in John Deere green on this old 100. Now this is like a 1975 or a 1976 John Deere 100. My wife's grandpa actually bought this new from the local John Deere dealer up in Ohio where we both came from. We could do a separate video on the history of this Deere, but today we'll mainly see focusing on all the battle scars that this tractor's had over the past, 50 some years of life. And today our focus is right here on this hood. You can see it's got some battle scars, run into trees, running into a fence. I have no idea how those things got here, but today we're just trying to make this a little bit better. The first thing I want to do is actually go ahead and get this put into the garage so grass and other debris wouldn't blow onto the paint that we're about to put on. I did have it sitting outside for a few hours. It's like 70, 75 out, so plenty warm enough on this mid-October day to get some paint on those scratches. I actually belong to a few different Facebook groups on people that actually restore those old tractors. And when I asked them what type of paint I should get to touch this up, they actually recommend going to get Ag and Turf green paint right from the dealer. You can see this is a new style paint. The Deere is jumping up, but they said it's close enough and it will match what we need to match. And actually, before we get too far, we can see we have other John Deere things in the garage. This is actually my son's little John Deere. This has a Ryobi swap in it, so the thing really rips, but this John Deere green, we're just going to leave this be. And of course, we really can't work on a John Deere or paint anything John Deere green wearing a Massey Ferguson hat, so let's swap that out. There we go. Now with John Deere mechanics. When you go to buy paint, these paint pens, see how this has a brush and it has a tip? So when you go to do these deep grooves or these fine scratches, that'd be really, really useful. Sometimes your paint pens at the local farm store won't have that, so neat little feature, worth the money to buy that. You gotta shake it up. And look at that. It's been about a half hour or so. We let this paint dry. Saved you watching the boring part. But it doesn't look bad from afar. Kind of far from good looking, right? The right way would have been to like fill in some of the fiberglass, take some Bondo, sand it smooth, make sure that clear coat was okay. But it's just a lawnmower. It's 50 years old. It will be okay. You know, right now we're about a good 7 or 8 feet from the lawnmower. And it don't look too bad for being about 50 years old. And of course, what's some new paint without a new John Deere emblem? Some of you purists might have noticed I was missing an emblem. If you notice my painting technique, I started painting back here where the emblem would hide my mistakes, and then I kind of used that as practice to come out a little bit further and get a nicer quality paint out of that paint pen. But look here, look at this John Deere. See how this deer is leaping down? And look how the bag that it came in, the deer is leaping up. Let's take a few moments and talk about the history of the John Deere emblem. All right, let's take a few moments and look at the John Deere logo evolution through its history of its years. You can see in 1876 there on the upper left, look at the deer and its 4 legs, and look how busy and cluttered that logo is. And look how it evolved over time all the way up into the 1956 logo. You can see how the deer's antlers changed, how the legs have changed. And of course, in 1956, you see how the John Deere is now below the deer, while previously John Deere was above the deer. You can see our tractor, since it is a 1975, 76 model, it has the 2-legged deer with the simple antlers, and the deer is jumping down. A lot of people are familiar with the John Deere logo, the 2000 Plus series logos, as that deer is jumping up into the new millennium as we turned to 2000. All right, well, thanks for joining in today. Hopefully Charlene likes his new John Deere paint. We got the new emblem with the deer jumping down, keeping it period correct for all those purists out there and collectors. But once again, this is just the shenanigans that Schaefer does. See you next time.